that measures are working. We are not making any further tightening moves at this stage, but we cannot be complacent at the same time. All right? We still have to be vigilant, do everything we can for everyone in Singapore to do our part, scale back activities, minimize movement, be alert and vigilant whenever we go out, take all the necessary precautions, and I think if we all do that, we can continue to make progress in controlling the infection.
Coming up, more U.S. states getting creative to get residents to get vaccinated. And later, climate scientists warn back-to-back cyclones hitting India is no fluke.
Bearing the brunt of worsening global warming.
As we see the whole landscape changing, it is really impacting our way of life.
Can we reduce our carbon footprint to fight climate change?
We're doing our bit to not rely so much on the coal-fired power stations to power what we do in our house.
Are the steps we're taking really enough? CNA correspondent fighting climate change. Tonight on CNA.
ちゃんは山梨名物のほうとう食べたいもの触れていません。
俺全部いつも奥かな。
こうやってなるんだ。
いい話。はいはい。
Japan Hour, Saturday on CNA. Japan Hour is brought to you by Sumitomo Corporation and SMBC. What are the financial forces driving Asia's rise, from transnational business expansions and technology for digital growth to untapped opportunities in the region and beyond? Understand the trends, innovations and corporate deals that are building Asia. On Asia First, Monday mornings on CNA.
Updating this hour's top stories, Tokyo and other parts of Japan likely to face an extended state of emergency in a bid to curb coronavirus infections ahead of the Olympics. Japan miles sharing its coronavirus vaccines with others. This comes amid calls for aid to Taiwan, which is struggling with vaccination for its population. Australia's Victoria State back in lockdown. Authorities are racing to track the spread of a highly infectious coronavirus variant. The US is intensifying its rivalry with China. It's making fresh calls to investigate the origins of the coronavirus, and it's tabling a tech bill to counter China's growing influence. The US has asked the WHO to carry out a second phase of its investigation into the origins of the virus. It wants independent experts to have full access to original data and samples in China. Yesterday, President Joe Biden asked the U.S. intelligence to further look into the origins of COVID-19. The U.S. Intelligence Committee says its agencies had two theories on how COVID-19 came about: that it could have emerged naturally from human contact with infected animals, or that it could have been a lab accident in Wuhan. China has slammed Mr. Biden's call for a fresh probe.
美方根本不在乎事实和真相，也没有兴趣进行严肃的科学溯源，而是想借疫情搞污名化和政治操弄，甩锅推责。这是对科学的不尊重，对人民生命的不负责，更是对全球团结抗疫努力的破坏。
More U.S. states are jumping on the incentives bandwagon to encourage their residents to get vaccinated. The latest and most lucrative yet: cash and gift cards worth more than $116 million for Californian residents.
We're doing that in order to encourage you, not only with that $50 gift card, but with this significant prize and incentive program. So it's multifaceted, $116.5 million we're setting aside for these efforts. Those gift cards, again, those incentive cards will run through till we run out, 2 million of them.
It's part of efforts to boost vaccinations before the state fully reopens by the middle of next month. Besides the gift cards, 10 people will be able to win $1.5 million each. Another 30 will receive $50,000. The state estimates 12 million eligible Californians have not yet been vaccinated. New Yorkers also cashing in on the multiple incentives offered throughout the city. From Junior's Cheesecake in Brooklyn to Krispy Kreme donuts in Times Square, you get it all by simply flashing your vaccine card.
The sooner everyone gets vaccinated, the sooner we get back to normal. The sooner we get to not wear this anymore.
I came for my free cheesecake because I got vaccinated.
Get vaccinated and get a free donut.
I don't want to say this is one of the reasons I got vaccinated, because it wasn't, but it's definitely a plus.
Sexism in Japan in the spotlight again, this time in the education sector. A new study by Japanese newspaper, the Mainichi, has found that girls need higher scores to get into 80% of Tokyo's public high schools. That's despite attempts to fix the discrepancies. Since 1998, Tokyo's education board has been applying corrective measures to nearly 40 schools every year. Before that, about 90% of high schools had different entrance scores for boys and girls. But it seems nothing much has changed in the last 5 years. Tokyo's public high schools also have separate enrollment caps based on the ratio of boys to girls at junior high schools. Japan's education ministry admits this system is not ideal, but maintains that it's logical. Now, this isn't the first time that Japan has come under fire for gender inequality. Back in 2018, at least 9 medical schools were found to have manipulated admissions to exclude female students. They all denied any wrongdoing. Singapore authorities have notified a social media platform, MeWe, to remove an offending poll that ranks women asatizas or religious teachers based on their sexual attractiveness. The Infocom Media Development Authority says the content has breached the Internet Code of Practice as it constitutes prohibited material. IMDA has also contacted other major social media players to ensure the poll is not circulated. Singapore Minister of Communications and Information, Josephine Teo, says she's appalled by the poll. Mrs. Teo, who's also chairman of the People's Action Party Women's Wing, has condemned the poll in the strongest terms. She says this is a deliberate exercise to demean women, especially those who have dedicated themselves to upholding their faith. The minister also says MCI will continue its work to protect women and girls from online harm. MCI Parliamentary Secretary Rahayu Mahjam deeply appreciates the clear stance that IMDA has taken on the issue. She says such disrespectful content about women asatizas has no place in society. She says the ministry is working on a Singapore Together Alliance for Action against online harms targeting women and girls. Discussions led by the AFA work group have highlighted the importance of cultivating a culture of respect for Singaporean women, both online and offline. She says behaviours perpetuating sexual harassment must be condemned. She hopes all Singaporeans, both men and women, will work